Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Dancing Oracle with Najia. I'm a psychic medium, and today I'm going to do part two of a really special reading about the future and what our lives will look like. So let me read the question for those who didn't get to watch part one yet. I'm going to do more in depth than I did earlier. I just pulled a few cards, but there was really a lot of information, and I had to switch to part two. And it was very unexpected what I got. So, Wicked Lovely number one, she says, have you ever gotten any insights to what our daily lives will look like when AI and other technologies are predominantly used? Thank you so much for this question. And I'm going to shuffle the cards. Um, Got a beautiful new deck. I got a nice large one now. I had a small one from Prisma Visions. That's the lovely box. And these are the lovely cards, as you'll see. Yeah, so anyway, thank you for taking the time to watch me and go on a little bit of a mystical journey with me about the future. And thank you for supporting the channel in so many ways. I mean, some of you actually send me thanks and PayPals and some of you, just sharing the videos is a big one. Um, Watching the videos until the very end because I can get monetized a little bit that way. It really, oh, and sorry, Spirit keeps telling me to pull single cards. And why am I called the Dancing Oracle? I'm told to pull these blend of cards, so bear with me. This is how spirit works. Yeah, I'm called the Dancing Oracle because I'm also a belly dance teacher and I teach people from everywhere on Zoom. So that's another way to support the channel. Come take a class series with me or a private lesson on Zoom. But if you live in the Philadelphia area, yeah, you can come and see me. All right, so this is what I got. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We got the Ace of Pentacles in the upright position. And wow, look at that door opening. And look at all the glittery energy. So I'm sensing there's been a wall. There's been a wall for a long time. Let me get my glasses. It's a new deck. I'm not familiar with the images. Wow. I got to show you a close-up of this because it's very interesting because we're talking about AI and code, you know. So do you see? All right, first off, we've got a wall. We've got a wall. So things have been blocked for a while. And then we're going through a change because pentacles represent change. And it also represents prosperity because it's the Ace of Pentacles, new beginnings. All right, now look. So we've got all our little bits of light. And all that AI is run with light energy, right? That's what computers are. Now, do you see these little symbols? A circle with a cross, circle with crosses. So the door has come open. The door has come open. The wall didn't have to be knocked down. So this door was opened. And now this beautiful light energy can come in for a new beginning. with prosperity. So I'm glad to hear that because I took my job as a storyboard artist away. Because I would draw, magic marker, and then eventually I learned to draw on the iPad. But AI can do things so fast, and there's no need for a storyboard artist, which was my main gig for prosperity. So I'm happy to hear that prosperity is coming for many in their daily lives. So when we had everything done by physical labor, people had to live a very hard life, you know? I mean, you had to wash, you know, all your clothes by hand. I know my grandparents did. And then eventually they got this kind of wash tub, and then they had this wringer thing. My grandma still had it. My grandma Antoinette, she still had that wringer she would put stuff through. It was kind of crazy in the back of her kitchen. And everything, was very labor intensive. And, they didn't even have heat. My mom didn't have heat growing up. She slept with a brick. She would warm a brick in the oven and put it in her bed. And eventually that house got heat. And at one point, when the house was first built, there were no bathrooms. There was outhouses. And my dad, his grandparents had they didn't have a bathroom. When I would visit them, they had two outhouses. And they had a pump in the sink. They didn't have indoor plumbing. They just had a pump, like a well pump in the middle of the sink, and everything had to be done by hand, like the bath water, everything. That's why people had bathtubs in the kitchen. Oh, it's a harder time. So you really, everything, you didn't have time to do uh anything that felt luxurious, right? So we're all so busy, busy, busy. And we've been promised that computers would make our lives better. Instead, they've made us extremely busy and working harder, working more hours for less pay or the same pay, whatever. And so I'm glad to hear that that's the majority, and that there's Six of Pentacles energy. Look at that. You know what I get from this? A lot of sharing. Do you remember in the last reading, part one, I got that people would be growing their own food more? That we would go back to the old times, physically growing our food more, and then we would be sharing what we have. I got a hit right before doing this reading, and it relates to this card. I got a hit from Spirit while I was taking a break and eating some good food, some good tofu in a rosa cream sauce that I made with oat milk, and some beautiful zucchini. Anyway, I love cooking. I love eating, as you can tell. But anyway, we've got this sharing, and I got this hit that there would be more community things popping up with people sharing physically what they've got. So this is a physical card. It's physical, I mean, things that help you survive in life, right? It could be your health, wealth, shelter, food, whatever, all that. Food, definitely food, food, food. See the trees? So trees with fruit. So I got this notion that there would be more community places that people would bring whatever they got extra of, whatever they're tired of, that could be given away or shared or loaned out, like almost like a library. Like, how we have a library system that people can borrow books? And, you can borrow other things I never knew about, like passes to museums. I never knew about that till this year. Passes to museums that normally you pay a high ticket price for. Some museums will be available at your library. I heard that you can borrow camping equipment, like the cooking equipment. I knew someone that used to do that. And of course you can borrow, I've always done books on tape. Back in the day, I would get cassettes and CDs and play them while I was doing my drawing, and so I'm seeing more like if you are tired of something, like, oh, I'm gonna get rid of this, that it would be at this place, organized, as well as any excess produce, right? Services, free services. There would be a lot more sharing. So when we get AI, I'm not sure, and more technologies, even though that's very, very, very futuristic kind of living, that in reality, what I got from the last reading was we would be going back to the old ways, what people have done for thousands of years. So growing your own food and now sharing like a tribe, like a community, right? That tribal mind, like we're all one. What's good for one is good for all. Let's take care of our tribe. So I'm getting that kind of energy. Being responsible, um, it's so strange because it's like right alongside that technology. I also, if you watch my other videos, talk about the earth changes. Sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off. So anyway, I talked about a lot of the planetary, shifting of our earth, like what's going on and the weather. So we're going to need to do all this because on the one hand, AI levels us up in a big way and helps us with finding all kinds of resources and answers to questions. But on the other hand, our physical resources will be diminished. And somehow I get that AI is going to help us build that. All right, so the Eight of Swords and the Page of Swords. I got these two together and they look very stormy. Feel the difference in the energy. So we've got one group of people feeling the prosperity, open to the newness, open to the contrast, everything beautiful and bright and light and sweet and sharing, right? Then we've got this cold, harsh energy with reverse cards. Yeah, let me take a look. Let me take a look. Eight of Swords is always the victim card, but this is somebody that's coming out of it when it's in reverse. Somebody builds a mental trap for themselves. AI can help you get out of that mental trap somehow and stop being a victim. So you see how this person was barricading themselves up and sad behind all this harsh sword energy, which is cutting. It's also words, thoughts, mostly thoughts in the case of Eight of Swords. And they're having a difficulty empowering themselves. Eight is a number of empowerment. Look at that angel wing. And they're feeling like left out in the cold, like everything is cold and harsh, and maybe there have been weather-related drastic issues suddenly. This person is not dressed for the cold weather. They're not bundled up. So this looks like something that happened quickly, and they might be upset, right? But with the reverse position, which I pulled, they're ready to step out of that and let the swords fall. and empower themselves. They're ready to complete their journey and what they need to do the next step. And then the Page of Swords, you know, so these kind of people going into, I just want to say, kind of, it's not like um, I've been there. I've been in victim mentality, right? I spent a lot of my life before the age of 30, and then I realized, oh my God, I'm doing this to myself. I'm creating my own world. I'm creating through my thought process. I actually can empower myself by not only actions, which, weren't getting me. If I was just doing action, it wasn't working. You need to follow up with passion and thought and openness and watch your words. Watch they create. Words are spells. That's why they call it spelling. All right, so we have this coming out of victim mentality, but this type of energy in the reverse is a lot of self-deception. There's a message about something deceiving us. In this transformation, wanting to come in. Do you see the butterflies? The monarch butterflies? And then you see the cold front. The swords are a testing energy. And when it's Seven of Swords, I just want to say it's a misuse of knowledge. Secretive stuff. Ooh. Yeah. So the day-to-day stuff, people are asking about wicked, forget her name, spirit. Number one, we're talking about what is the day-to-day life like? So we have, on one hand, it brings renewed prosperity, sharing, kind of going back to some of the old ways, being more connected to the earth, which sounds a little crazy with AI and technology. On the other hand, technology represented by the sword of knowledge, these are sword energy. We've got this clash of different energies. We've got one energy wants transformation, the monarch, butterfly, which does its migration, during the warmer weather going into fall, at least here in Philadelphia, it's September, right? End of summer. And then we've got this harsh energy of everything suddenly frozen. And then we've got this sword energy, the seven. And the Seven of Swords in reverse is often known as the thief card. So I'm seeing there is more chance. Oh, of presenting something false. I mean, obviously, we know that from the videos, the AI generated videos taking someone's likeness and making it look like they did something. It's really, really, really horrible to get around that, to see what is real and what is false. Now, I have a little bit of a better eye as an artist, and seeing an AI generated photograph or video, like, I can tell when something's off or the lighting or whatever, it's not real, but I could see how people would be very fooled. If you don't have an art background or haven't worked in that, easily fooled, right? AI can mimic someone's voice and likeness. So I do see these two different sides, like feeling trapped and needing to come out, feeling like a victim, having this energy manipulate you, manipulate and steal and lie. And then there's this other beautiful energy. Wait, we're getting this good, right? We're going to come into something really good with this. Now, I meant to do the full reading, but Spirit just said not to today. Um, I'll do a Celtic cross later if the Spirit lets me put out the full deck. Right now I'm clairaudiently listening on the inner, and it's having me pull certain cards. So thanks for joining in. And if you want to know more about this kind of AI future or any type of future stuff and what's the world going to look like, world predictions, just hit the like button so I know that this is popular. Comment, of course, but if I have a lot of likes on the video, I'll do more. Okay, so you take care, have a really good time this week. Be safe, be blessed, and I'll be back. And I'll be back doing some fun things with Linda G and the astrologer Heather and maybe some other guests. So take care. Bye.